Hello, everybody. Uh, how's everybody doing? I forget how long the lag is, but welcome to the live event. This is now the second month in a row. I've done something twice in a row that I said I was going to do. Our third Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I'm just going to give everybody a second to kind of get in and catch up as I adjust my camera as I sit here. Look, my hair is brushed, but it's not going to last down. I'm just letting you know up front. I'm being honest. Okay? It's not going to happen. So let me close all my other windows so nobody's thinking I'm not giving you your time, because I am. I'm here. I'm here. It was 6 degrees this morning when I woke up, and pipes were frozen. I think that I left water on, but clearly I didn't. So it's been an interesting day. How's everybody doing? I have just a few questions that you guys have asked. I'm going to actually pull this window over here so that if there's any other questions, Jana can text them to me, because clearly I am not going to be able to keep up. I'm so terrible with technology. I don't know why. I don't know why. You would think I'd be good at it. I'm not. I'm not, though. Okay, Michelle McPherson. I'm going to address your question first. Playground is part of the Hollow series. Now, as you guys probably saw in the Quickies 2015, I forget which stories are in which, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong. As I did a lot of stories in Quickies 2015, you can tell that that is probably going to be the first full release of the Hollow series. It's connected to a couple of different things, which I'm sure you kind of probably have figured that out. I have, it's actually written. I'm going to be honest. It's actually written. And it just needs to be treated by moi. And I need to go through, make sure all the timeline stuff is proper as well. And then it's going to go out. I would like to release it for the TBS anniversary, simply because I'm trying to keep my release dates in specific orders, and considering that the Hollow universe is kind of a spinoff of the TBS universe, I really would love to honor that anniversary, that yearly anniversary of May 21st. And this year, on May 21st, it's the 5-year anniversary since TBS was released. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, what else? Let's see. Let me look and see what other questions. Oh, Janet, that's an excellent question, by the way. Jana asked me, did you ever expect or have any kind of inkling while writing the Barter System that it would open up this whole complete universe? No, I did not. When I first started writing the Barter System, I thought that it was going to be a standalone story. And the only image I had in my mind was of two friends sitting in a coffee shop and talking about one of the friends, the more outgoing, and let's not say slutty, but okay, there's nothing wrong with it. I was slutty. It's okay. Let's say the slutty one is ranking her past partners, people she's been with, blah, 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 right? So the other one says, wow, that's a really interesting thing. I wonder if that would have like some clinical merit. That was the original conversation in my brain when the Barter System started. That was, and as you guys now know, that was a conversation between Rhea and Tawny, who is our outgoing, crazy, fun-loving redhead. Basically, they were sitting together in a coffee shop having a conversation, and that is the only scene that was in my head with Barter System before I started writing it. A lot of authors plot their books. I do not have that luxury, not because I would not like to plot my books, but because in the beginning when I did plot them, they ended up nothing like where I started. So it was pretty much a waste of time. Initially, when I started writing the Barter System, I did plot it out because, I read all these how-to books about how to be an author and how to write fast while writing well. That was my go-to one, by the way. I read all these books, and everybody was an expert, and none of it made any sense, and it was all crap. It was all crap. So I plotted out the Barter System initially. It was a completely different story when I plotted it out. And for the first couple of days that I was writing, I found myself trying to force the plot into that synopsis. I was trying to force myself to write to that synopsis, whereas, as I'm sure all of you are aware now, my brain doesn't do what it's told ever. Not ever. It just no fucks. That's pretty much my brain. So it didn't do what it was told. It went in a totally different direction. Ended up an erotica novel, which initially when I started writing it, I did not realize the heat level that the Barter System was going to have. I did not plan that. And as you guys know, the original version was bam, 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 like one sex scene after the other. I did kind of space that out when I did the treatment, mainly because that was the number one complaint I got, is that it's nothing but porn. So I pretty much just, kind of slowed it down a little bit, spaced it out. All the sex scenes, except for one or two that are in other things now, all the sex scenes are still there. They just look like they're further apart. And it gives people that sense of, I'm not reading erotica, I'm a good Christian woman, and I'm not reading erotica. No. This is a romance. None of my stuff was intended to be erotica. It just sort of happened that way, and I just didn't care. I just went with it. And then when I first published the Barter System, and I started the very first month that I published it, I only made $50 publishing it. And I was like, oh my God, like people are actually paying money for my book. Like that's really weird. I didn't think that was going to happen. And the second month, I sold double. And I started getting all these, people that were just finding me and, oh my God, do you have anything else? And of course, at that point, I had 60 other novels written. And I was like, oh, I'm going to just publish. Well, you guys know what happened at that point. I went crazy, started publishing stuff almost every month. By fall of 2012, I just started publishing. Crazy publishing. Something almost every month. The 4 original Great Outdoor Stories, I published all 4 of those in April of 2013. I would finish one, publish it, do another one a week later, another one a week later, another one a week. I was crazy. But the problem is, and I think that I've mentioned this in the last week or so, my plots were great. Everybody says, your plots are really unique, your characters are really unique. I do make a concerted effort to write incredibly strong women. I don't like writing weak women, weak characters, people that constantly need to be rescued, damsels in distress. I kind of like my damsels to rescue the knights. I think that's a fun thing, and I don't think enough authors do that now. I know that there are authors out there that do it. There's just not enough. And in my opinion, there can never be too many strong women out there. Ever. So I started writing a ton of stuff and releasing it. At one point, at the beginning of 2014, I had almost 30 novels out. And I was really unhappy with them. And I realized that I was unhappy with them. And I know my admins know this story intimately because they were part of the whole, I'm unpublishing everything, I'm starting over. So I sat down, everybody kept telling me, the marketing advice and author advice. Everybody kept saying, oh, you got to do these blog tours, and you got to do book signings. You got to do all this stuff. You got to get the name out. You got to get the book out. You got to tell everybody about it. And I realized that I didn't want to tell anyone about it, because long before I was an author, I was a reader. And when I know I'm going to get crazy, jump back from this, but when I read a book, I'm very hypercritical. I'm hypercritical of the technical writing. I'm hypercritical of head hopping. I notice grammatical errors very quickly when I read. And so I had not read the Barter System for a year and a half after I published it. And after a year and a half of publishing, knocking out, another 20 books, 30 books, I went back and I read the Barter System, and I was really upset. I found unbelievable amounts of errors, and I unpublished it like that day. Everybody says that, you're always hardest on your own writing, and that is very, very true. I'm my worst critic, and I could edit my stuff into infinity. But, I felt that after I read the Barter System, I, of course, read Hudson, then I read, book after book after book, and I found the same kind of issues in each book, so I unpublished everything. I unpublished all of it, and at one point, there were only 4 books up. Completely Wrecked and Hermit were the 2 most recent ones that I had published. So they had my knowledge of, reading all the other stuff that just had so many errors in it. And I started over. And it was a really good thing that I did, because going back through those books as an author, not just reading them, but as an author, I found all the loopholes. I found all the webs that I was missing before. And I found a bunch of things that I thought I had already explained in the story, because I write so fast. I thought I'd already explained it, and I just skipped right over it. Missed all the connections, didn't tell you guys anything. So those of you who didn't read the Barter System until I republished it in, when was that? Summer of 2014, when I republished the Barter System. If you read it after summer of 2014, you have a much, I'm very, very, very happy about that. I'm really happy, because you didn't get to see my hidden shame before that. And I know there's readers out there that are going, no, I love the original story. I loved it so much. But I didn't. And as a reader, I knew it was just, it needed help. And I gave it the help, but I think it's a better book for it, and I think it appeals to a lot more people for it. Can I just say that as the angle of this thing makes my fingers look super chubby, and they're really, like, my hands look ginormous, right? Like little sausages. I swear I'm not high. Just the coffee. That's it. But I'm just saying, it makes me look like I have little fat hands. I don't know why. Anyway, I get distracted. Anyway. Okay. I'm going to go down some more questions. Marie, and I don't remember which Marie this is. I think it's McNamara. Wants to know who my favorite male character is. You guys are going to be a little shocked. You're going to be a little shocked. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you who it is. And the main reason that he's my favorite character is because we have a lot of history in common. It's Elijah. Elijah is my favorite character. He is absolutely, hands down, my favorite character. I dreamed about Elijah about 4 years ago, and I didn't know who he was. I used to mix he and Hollow up in my mind, like when I would dream about them, or when a short story would come to my head or something like that. I used to mix them up. Of course, they look very different. Elijah is blonde and green-eyed, and, Hollow is black hair, gray-eyed, silver-eyed. So I used to mix them up all the time because of their personalities and because of the trauma that they'd been through. And then I started realizing how separate that they were, how different they were as people. And that's when Hollow's stories really started solidifying for me and started kind of being a force of their own. They were they just kind of flooded me, and they still flood me. And I write down everything that I have. Sometimes I've shared it, sometimes I haven't. Sometimes it's an incoherent rants between me and Jana at 2:00 in the morning. There's no telling, but it took me a while to realize who Elijah was, and who he was in relation to the whole universe. And basically, he's like my twin. Really, he's my male twin, and I didn't intentionally imbue him with things that had happened to me. Things that I went through as a young person. It just sort of happened. And because of that, he's really important to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Elijah because he speaks to me on a personal level. But it's the H's, Hollow and Hudson. They kill me, but for very different reasons. All of them have something, something that's drawn me to them. Something that's really made it impossible to ignore them. Like it is impossible to ignore them. They are the three loudest characters in my head. Hudson, above and beyond all the others, he is constantly screaming in my head. But yeah, Elijah is my favorite. I love them all, though. I love Ryan, and I love Dylan, and I love Rex. I love them all. There's no character that none of my main characters that I would change now. I think that they're exactly who they need to be, flaws and all. And I think that they've turned out really, really beautifully. Let me just finish up. I completely got off track answering Jana's question. Okay, so about the barter system being more than just just the one book. I didn't plan that. When I finished the barter system, I was done. I knew the subject stories. I thought maybe one day I would do like short stories about them, but I didn't really have any plans to write another book. And then I got to the end of it and realized that there was something that was incomplete. There was a lot that I needed to expand. And it kind of went a little bit crazy, because what happened was I finished the barter system, wrote a whole bunch of other stuff. Yes to Everything, which completely obliterated me emotionally. The Great Outdoors books, the Love of the Game books. I just kind of wrote a bunch of different stuff. I wrote paranormal, I wrote romance, I wrote tragedies. It's like I just kind of went nuts. But the thing is that about 6 months, maybe a year after I wrote TBS, and I'd already written a shit ton of other stuff, I had a dream about Hudson. And basically from that dream, which I don't know, scientifically, isn't it like a second and a half or something like that? From that dream came everything else. Every single book after that dream was based on that dream, was basically inspired by it. And it wasn't, and even though I wrote them, I wrote 6 more books after the barter system. It's 7 books. Even after I wrote all of them, it wasn't until maybe 2-3 months ago, Jana would know. It wasn't until 2 or 3 months ago when I realized some epiphanies about the barter system universe. And the reason that I never really saw much happening with Rhea, I mean, I love Rhea. I love Tawny. I love all the subjects. I love them. But I never really saw full books with them because they were never really the main characters. Each book has a central plot, and the people involved in those central plots, like Near and Far and Marcy and Liberation, and you know, the crazy theater brothers, Isaiah and Ezra. You know, everybody has their central plot line. But there is one constant in every single book, and I never noticed that I was writing it. I never noticed that I was doing it. It was completely subconscious. I didn't realize who my main character was for a very, very long time until really everything was written. And once I realized who the main character in those stories were, it made me also realize the entire scope of the Hollow universe. And it was such an incredible epiphany when it happened that I thought I was having an aneurysm. I had to lay down. I had to take a nap. I had to regroup, you know. It was rough, y'all. It was really, really rough. But I just scared the piss out of. Oh goodness. I'm just reading some of y'all's comments that are kind of flipping by, and it's just hysterical. But I'm gonna just tell y'all, because I know Jano likes me to keep everything all secret. I'm gonna tell you that basically there is one character in every one of the TBS stories, every single one, that has driven the plot in some way, in an important way, in a way that that I didn't foresee and that I didn't even notice when I was writing it. And he is in every single book. I mean, and the thing is, you know, at first I thought, well, you know, Rhea's in every book and Tawny's in every book, and sure, that makes sense. Unfortunately, they're still not the main characters. They're still not. Rhea's she's the main character of her book, just like Tawny's the main character of hers, and you know, Teddy and Madeline and Michaela are, you know, the main characters of theirs, but they're all sweetness and light. They're all sweetness and light. And at the end of the day, that's not how my brain works. That's not how my brain works. My brain does not just go to the sweetness and light. And I love the darkness. And I love the darkness in Hudson. And Hudson is the primary anchor in the Barter System series. And once I realized that, and I went back and I read the books again, I was kind of shocked that I didn't notice that I didn't notice it as a reader, as reading it, my own work myself, and I certainly did not notice it when I was writing it. But once you know that Hudson is the anchor, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. And you are really probably going to be, what's a good word? Gobsmacked. That's a good word. That's one of those crazy words. You're going to be gobsmacked when you realize his connection to the Hollow universe, a connection he doesn't even realize. He has no clue. He has no clue how big it is. So, you know, once you kind of go back, I love how my brain puts like little subconscious messages to myself in my writing, and I'll go back and read something again and I'll be like, oh my God, that totally links to that over there. Where did that come from? I don't know. I don't even remember writing half the stuff I write. I'm in a fugue state because that's what crazy people do. But, okay. So that kind of, I think that really over answered Jana's question and Michelle's question on the playground. Okay, I think we're good on that. Yes. So my goal is May 21st of 2017 for Playground, which is going to be the launching of the Hollow series. But there's a couple other things coming before that are not technically Hollow series books, but you really need them for, you know, you'll like them. You'll like having them. Everything is standalone. You guys know it's all standalone, but I like to keep it all webbed up together, sticky. Michelle's second question was, when will Sabrina be releasing a new story? Now, for those of you who don't know, I did originally have paranormal. I don't think that it kind of meshed very well with my Shayne McClendon stories, because my Shayne McClendon stories are very real life. Like, some of the situations, I try not to do the craziest things that could never happen in real life. Like, I have a real problem when I read just completely unrealistic things, but, you know, a lot of my characters are people that you would be able to meet in your grocery store and stuff like that. And it's like called women's contemporary, I guess. It's just like women's fiction, though a lot of men do like it. Don't let them lie to you. But I didn't really want to have something so counter to my Shayne McClendon plots and characters. So, when I unpublished all of the paranormal, originally I did plan on republishing them as Shayne. Sorry, my dogs are wandering around at my feet. I did, you know, plan to republish them as Shayne, but then I realized that didn't really make sense. They didn't really fit. And especially a lot of the new stuff, a lot of what I write now is kind of more romantic suspense, erotic suspense. It's not, you know, the Hollow universe, the TBS universe, the Great Outdoors. Permission to Come Aboard is a perfect example of that. I have really gone more to, I don't want to say James Patterson, because I adore James Patterson. I would never presume to compare myself to him. But I do love the action in his stories. I'm a huge fan. I have all of his books. I love the action. And I realize, not that I'm mimicking him, because of course I'm not James Patterson. Nobody but James Patterson is James Patterson. But I do notice that a lot of my stories have a much more suspense feel, like suspense, mystery, you know, some of them even have almost like a little kind of a horror element to it, I guess, but I really want to keep those segregated in their own kind of genre, because really, whether it's The Hermit or Completely Wrecked or Breakdown Here, Yes to Everything, all of those stories, the conflict is usually something around some form of violence. And I realize that I use it as a way, it's my own therapy, really. It's a way for me to kind of work through a lot of things that I've dealt with in my life personally. And of course, you know, there's a lot of work to get there, but there are happy endings, because I am the creator and I can do what I want. So I am republishing my paranormal. For those of you who don't know, I'm republishing it under Sabrina Rue. Everything will have new titles. Anything that was published before, I'm putting Shayne McClendon as a co-author, but I'm not linking to Shayne McClendon, just putting it on there so that anybody that's read it and kind of stumbles upon it doesn't think that Sabrina Rue stole Shayne McClendon's writing and published it with her own name. So there will be 3 stories that I originally published as Shayne McClendon, which will be published under Sabrina Rue and also Shayne McClendon. Everything else will just be published as Sabrina Rue. And just so you guys know, I have 12 or 14 completed books for Sabrina Rue that are already done. They've been done for a very long time. So I might have a little something for you guys there. A story that I gave you a sneak peek of, God, I don't know. I think it was in the group like last year. I gave you a little sneak peek of it, but I never really did much with it. So I think that one's coming soon. So definitely within the next 6 weeks, there will be another Sabrina Rue book, and it will be one that has not been published before. And then I'll republish one that's been published before, and then a new one, and so on and so forth. It's better to do that because it gives me the ability to say, hey guys, you know, if you haven't read these, here you go. If you have read them, well, they're completely treated now. I do love re-releasing stuff, and I still have 3, 6, 9. I still have 10 stories that were originally published that are now unpublished. Yeah, it's a lot left to republish. So yes, you'll be getting more Sabrina Rue stories, and that's going to be spectacular. Heather asked, when will we get into Hollow's world? Now, I would say that we've been in Hollow's world for a while now. The short stories alone have basically started kind of laying the foundation stones, I guess, of this universe. And one of the reasons that I'm trying to get the stuff that hasn't been republished, the reason I'm trying to get it out is because some of them have very significant timeline things that must be dealt with, that must be kind of anchored before I can release Hollow, or else it's not going to make any sense. A really good example of that is the Quiet series with Zoe and Noelle and Caroline. That's a really good example of that because there's some things that I need to put in there when I re-release them. And there's very important dates that anchor the timelines at that point. So something like that needs to be released before I get into a full-on, this is a story just about Hollow. It has to be out there. Another great example of that timeline anchoring is Obsession. Obsession is really a lot more of a Hollow book than I realized, and I have 2 other completed novels in menage suspense, really menage erotica suspense, that also go with that. They're completed novels. They're fully done. I just have to actually treat them and release them. All of those are Hollow stories. Now, when I first wrote Obsession, the only scene in my head was that initial scene that I open with when she's in the park and she's hurt. There are now 11 chapters before that scene. That was the original opening scene in Obsession. There are now 11 chapters before that. And the reason there's 11 chapters before that is, as I was telling you guys earlier, when I was rereading, I realized the webs myself. And there are so many webs that I didn't know, that Jana, the encyclopedia over there, she didn't know either. And basically, it's kind of one of those like word association types of things where you start thinking about this and it links you to that, and then you think about that and it links you to this. That's how my brain works. And because initially for the first couple of years, I literally had no one to talk to about my books. No one. I originally wrote the Barter System in 2010. It took me 8 days to write it. I wrote it in 2010, right before I was laid off. I tried for 2 years to get it published. Nobody would touch it. And then I published it in 2012, and I really didn't develop a lot of the relationships, online relationships that I have now, like with my admins, until probably end of 2012, beginning of 2013. So I had no one to talk stories with. Not really. Like, there was no one in my family read my stuff initially. My daughter could read some things, but she couldn't read most of what I wrote back then. I mean, she was like 14. Yeah, so she couldn't read most of my stuff. she and my son were sneaking and reading my stuff and absolutely loved what they read, but I wasn't able to like talk to anybody. I worked from home, and then I got laid off from my company that I had transferred out to Oklahoma with. Got laid off from there, and so I was at home all the time. I didn't have any friends in the town we lived in. None of my family were really readers, except for my, ninja children. And, there was nobody to talk to. So back then, when I wrote something, it was like, this is written in stone. That's it. We're not doing anything else with it. And it wasn't until 2 years later when I started having conversations at book signings, when I started talking to the admins, when I started this group, and I started actually having people ask me questions. When you ask a person questions whose brain is basically like all the time, when you ask a question, when you give me a word, when you make a suggestion, when you say somebody's name and you link it to something else, that makes my brain pause. And there's very few things that make my brain pause. So that's, really what it took is me developing people that I could actually talk to about my work, who not only read it to edit or read it to help me with some marketing stuff or whatever, but were literally invested in the stories, in the characters, in what I was producing. And once you have people that are actually invested in you and want to sit there and have true conversations with you about where your plots are going, where did they come from, what's happening, what about this character, what about that situation. Once you have people asking you questions, you start answering the questions in your own head, because for me, there were no answers initially. So that's one reason why when I write a story, I can't wait to get it out. It's not because I think I'm going to make $1 million. I'm never going to be a millionaire author. I'm not about that. Like, I don't care. Okay. I do it because I love it. But the main reason that I publish now, when I first published, it was desperation, because I was broke and I was selling my stories online, for like $60. So, when I first started publishing, my motivation was desperation. Now when I publish because I need somebody to talk to about these stories. I need feedback. I need people asking me questions, saying things to me about them, calling me on my shit too. Like, sometimes I screw up. We all do, and I am a one-man shop. Pretty much I write it, edit it, send it to Jana for a timeline check, and then it's out. And so I make mistakes. I screw up. But at the end of the day, it turns out pretty good. And a lot of the reasons, one of the main reasons that I've become a really stronger author now than I was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, is because I've had feedback. Like, you can't grow if people don't tell you suck. And I've had a lot of people tell me I suck. So I'm grateful for that, because it really made me go, oh crap, head hopping. Duh, never realized I did that. It's something I hate other authors doing, and I did it in every single book, the first 20 books that I wrote. I'm better at it now. You live and you learn, you grow, you do it better. So, I feel like, we're in Hollow's world. See how I skip all over? God, it's like a schnauzer or something. I don't even know. I'm all over the place. Hold on, I need more coffee. That's gonna help. That's gonna help. So, oh, this stuff is so good. All right. So, as far as being in Hollow's world, when I put out Permission to Come Aboard, re-released it just a couple months ago. When I re-released Permission to Come Aboard, I showed you how much of a hollow story it really was. Same with Permission to Land, same with Special Delivery, same with Embrace the Wild. Wow, everybody love Embrace the Wild? I freaking totally did not see that coming. Anyway, you know, every story that I've put out again, it very firmly has ties to either the TBS universe or the Hollow universe or both. So I feel like, yeah, it is a big coffee mug, Denise. It's really big. It's my baby right here. I picked it up. If you pick it up and don't sip it, then it gets its feelings hurt. It thinks you don't want it. So hold on. Now I talked about it. I got to sip again. It's like a drinking game, but just with me in the cup. Okay. I just made a fresh pot. Okay, so everybody, basically every story that I'm releasing, the re-releasing and the new stuff that's coming out, I'm anchoring them more fully to one of the two universes. Now, technically, there is a third universe, which is what I like to refer to as the Yes to Everything universe. And that's the universe where all the country stories take place. Because if you notice, in TBS and in Hollow, most of TBS takes place in Florida or New York City. Hollow takes place in Seattle and New York City. So the Yes to Everything group, which a lot of them are linked together, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. But the Yes to Everything is, of course, Middle America. Like the country folk. Like me when I was growing up. So they are strongly linked to both of the others, but it's kind of like a perfect little triangle, perfect little trifecta of crazy. Perfect. I love it. And I think that as time goes on, you're going to realize that we've been in the Hollow universe for a lot longer than you realized. Like, we've been in there. The first, I don't want to call Obsession a Hollow book because it's different. It's because it doesn't fully take place just in the organization, but it is so strongly a Hollow universe book that you're going to get a lot. You're going to get a lot of it. So it's kind of hard for me to say when you're going to get exactly what, because the first book that will be brand new, that will be, you know, something you've never seen before, will probably be Savine's book. She'll probably be the very first actual Hollow book, either her or Rourke. I go forth because both of them are really loud in my head, so sometimes I don't know which one of them I'm gonna be writing about. And then you've got Mala and Ox. I mean, there's just so many. So they kind of clamor right now. I'm not sure yet which of the stories will be first, but again, Playground is another Hollow Universe, TBS Universe book. So it's like when somebody says, when are we going to get more into Hollow? It's like, I would say probably at least half. Yeah, at least half. And I mean, Jana, you can probably confirm this. I would say at least half of the short stories that I've written in the last year have been Hollow short stories. And I would say that I don't think that I've released a book in 2016 that did not strongly feature Hollow in some way, in a scene, in a chapter, in a, you know, in a place. I like, we're there. It's just a matter of his book happening. I don't want to rush that. I really don't want to rush that, because he's a very complex character. He's been through a lot. He's got a lot more to go through. And his happiness means a lot to me. Elijah, you're going to see a lot more of him as well, of course, in the Hollow series. Harper, Hudson, Tawny. It's like everything's connected. And I say that all the time, but it's true. Everything is connected. And, you know, he's really, he kind of infects my mind. So I can't say, oh, this is when we're going to release, you know, you're going to get your first glimpse of Hollow, because I feel like I've kind of been giving you glimpses of Hollow for like 3 years. 2 for sure. 2 for sure. You've been getting glimpses of him for the last couple of years, and I feel like it's kind of hard to see where the starting line is, because it's just sort of kind of flowed into everything else that was going on. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Yvonne wants to know what will be published next. I'll go back to Hollow again if you guys have any more questions. Yvonne wants to know what will be published next. Well, right now I'm working on 2 separate things. Because you guys know I'm in the middle of crap tons of client work, and it's insane. But, and I'll read everybody's comments. I'm sorry, I can't like keep up because they're kind of like bump up really quick. So I can't really keep up with what everybody's writing. I'm really sorry if I'm missing anything. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, the thing to publish next. See, it really does happen, guys. I'm not faking it. Okay, so I'm working on 2 totally different things right now, because I'm really trying to take the last 10 days of December off. I really hope that I can. At least a week. I need a week off. And when I say time off, it's not like, you know, sitting and vegging on TV. When I say time off, it's basically sitting in front of my computer writing my stuff without being interrupted by content articles or graphics or any of that stuff. So right now, I've been working on 2 different things. One of them is a republish, because those are a little bit easier for me to disconnect, because they're already written. It's treating them, it's cleaning them up, it's adding information to them and stuff like that. So that's damaged. I would like to get that out in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I haven't had a lot of time to edit. I've been back to back on deadlines with all my clients. So are my cheeks super red? Oh God, I look crazy over here. Anyway, so I'm working on treating damage. And then the other thing that I'm working on is a Sabrina Rue story that is a new story. Now, some of you may have read what was initially a short story for Binding Contracts, Chasing Harmony, Finding Hope. It's like 2 separate books, but it's part of a 10-book werewolf series. I don't know what to tell you. I love werewolves. So I am also working on that. And I've also been writing a lot of short stories, which for some reason, this time of year, I think because I get really, really busy, and I don't have a lot of time to write as much as I would like to, I do write a lot of short stories this time of year. I just churn them out. I think I did 4 or 5 in the last few days. And they're awesome. I love them. I do work a lot of hours. Oh, thank you guys. I don't feel like I look great. All I did was brush my teeth and brush my hair, and I think I put lip gloss on, but I chat so much, and then of course with all the coffee, I'm going to do some more. Because that's professional. Let's see. Let me see if something. Oh, Kelly, I accidentally answered your question already about Kelly Thomas Petroff wanted to discuss which character the TBS series revolved around. And now I've given you guys the 411 that it was Hudson all along. I didn't even know. You didn't know. When none of us knew. But now we know, and now it changes the whole like bent of the story. And you know when I've always loved Hudson. But if you haven't read Radiance, you need to plug your ears. And I'm really sad if you haven't read Radiance. So sad. But in Radiance, the moment that that I realized that I would never love anyone the same way that I loved Hudson was when he gently set Bree away from the door and slammed it so hard that he cracked the frame because he was mad at the other two yahoos over there stirring up nonsense and foolishness. When he did that, and I could picture it in my mind, like before I wrote the scene, that was of course the only moment that I saw was him walking in and very gently kind of setting her away from the door and then slamming that bad boy hard enough to like knock it off its hinges. And I thought to myself, that epitomizes everything I love about Hudson, right there. Epitomizes everything I love about him. He's so gentle and wonderful and kind, but you do not want to fuck with him because he will jack your shit up. Seriously, jack you up. So yeah, it feels really different now. Now that you know that he's like the main character. When you go back and read it, it's like, love it. He's just so wonderful. And don't even get me started about the thing in the hospital when he's talking to her. I can't. I will start bawling, and when none of us want that right now. None of us want that. I am an ugly crier. I'm not kidding. Splotchy, snot, it's not pretty. So we're not going to go there. We're going to skip over that whole conversation. We don't need any emotional stories. Okay, we're going to move on. Now, somebody else said, when will Brenly's story be told? It's so funny because when I originally wrote that little piece of Scars, I wrote like 3 chapters and I was like, God, I really love this. Well, originally, of course, when I thought about the story, I didn't have like a full plot. I never do. There's never a full plot. Don't think I know what's happening because I don't know any more than you do until I write it. Okay? So, I didn't have a full plot. All I saw was her standing in front of like a bathroom mirror and seeing this jagged scar down her face. And how she was like fuck it, I don't care. I don't care. I don't need any man. I don't need no man anyway. I got this on my own. And all I could see was like her, not that she's like very powerful, not that she's aggressive really, but she's got a very powerful personality to where when I had this image of her standing in front of the mirror, she wasn't doing it, but it was almost like she was kind of like, like flexing sort of in the mirror. Now she wasn't. And she's very sweet and she's a little, she's a woman and nice and whatever. And it's not like she's out there trying to like throw down with people or anything. But I really got this vibe from her that she would screw up everybody's shit. She would just totally fuck them up if they messed with her. And I love that about her. So there's a lot of story with her. And Wayne Savage, who is the, I don't know, love interest, I guess, in that story. He's connected to an awful lot of stuff too. And I can't even tell you where he's connected. Because if I tell you, you guys are going to be like, you got to do that one right now. I can't do that one right now. I cannot do that one right now. Okay? But I will tell you, first of all, I think everybody already knows that Wayne Savage's brother is Park from Gravity, the bar owner from Gravity, right? What you guys may or may not know, I don't know, maybe you know, maybe you don't, is that they have a long-term working relationship with Lucas as fellow cattle people. So I'm not writing it right now, ladies. I know I say the L word and you guys are going to be all over me, but I can't write that one right now because it has to develop. Like there needs to be more. There needs to be more before I can spread that one out. So I don't know when that one's coming out. I wrote that one about the same time that I wrote like the first 10 chapters of Shape I'm in. And then they kind of went silent. And I don't get writer's block. What I get is writer tidal waves where I'm working on one thing and all of a sudden I get this monsoon from this side. I didn't even see it coming, have no life jacket, nothing. And all of a sudden I can only think about this one, like this one that's hitting me. And so this one kind of gets pushed down and away for a little while. Sometimes I forget them for a long time. And I know that I've done that to you guys countless times, and I apologize. It happens to me, and I try to make it stop. But then again, the tidal waves are really awesome too. So, like, what are you going to do? If I get rid of the tidal waves, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Do we have any other questions? I don't know if we have any other questions. Do you guys have any questions? Let me see. Let me see if I don't want to click on anything. Oh, somebody said, I just noticed right up top here, will we learn more about Tawny's men? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I don't know if I forget who I talked to what. Yeah, I mainly talked to Jana and Yvonne and Mo and Angela, and I normally have these conversations with them. Jana's my go-to because she's 2 hours behind me. And she's up at the stupid hour o'clock. So I'm able to talk to her at whatever. Like, usually you buzz her and she's active now. And I'm like, how are you active now? It's like 3 a.m. But she is. She doesn't care. No fucks given. This woman does not sleep. Okay, you guys think I don't sleep? She don't sleep. So anyway, I can't remember if I was talking to her or if this is a conversation that we've had whenever, or if it happened at a book signing. I don't know. But the Hollow books will eventually, okay, I'm kind of going to just say 12. We're going to say 12 books, right? So of the 12 Hollow books, 3 of those are part 1, part 2, part 3 for Hollow himself. Those are his personal stories, his personal history, his personal love interest, his. Those are his stories, those 3 stories, okay? Depending on how big they are, if they're not massive size, they'll all 3 be in one book. But if they're pretty big, then they're going to have to be split up. So about Tawny's men, she is going to have her own book in the Hollow world. It's going to be called Red. All of the books that are specifically, like I said, a lot of them link to it, but they're not necessarily Hollow Universe books. So if it's a Hollow Universe book, it's going to go by their, oh my God, why is that? By their fake name, their spy name, I forget what it is I'm trying to say. What is the word I'm trying to find? Anybody? Let me see. Does anybody have a word? I don't even know. Code name. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Thanks, Jana. Yeah, so basically the books are going to be titled by their code name, right? So Tawny's book is going to be titled Red, because even though Tawny had a prequel in Pushing the Envelope, I know, y'all, I know. Y'all are giggling at me. It's so even though she had Pushing the Envelope, which was a prequel story, which was incredibly important because, of course, that ties into later stuff, and it also, there's stuff in there that links to other characters in totally other books. But she did get that. That was her prequel story. But what you're going to get in the Hollow universe is going to be Red's story, which is very, very different than Hollow than Tawny up until the moment she met Hollow. So her book will be called Red. Savine's book will be called Vine. I can't remember all the code names right now. What was the Leonard's will be, Rourke's is Roar. They all have them. You've got Gear, you've got Ox, you've got, all these guys, right? So right now, just the 3 Hollow stories plus his go-to people, the people closest to him in the organization. I have 12 books. So 3 books that are specifically Hollow, and then 9 books that are his next people in command. You know, his team of peeps. So there's a lot. There's a lot of them, and they're going to be a lot of fun to write. I already have pieces for each of them. We'll have fun. We'll have fun with that. I can't remember but yeah, so when you get Red Story, I see I'm all over the place. When you get Red Story, of course, she's going to go through more, you're going to have more of her relationship with Quinn, and his name is totally escaping me right now. Bye, Missy! Thank you for stopping by! I'm so happy you got to be here. So, you know, as you get her story, you're going to get her past, present, future. So that'll be fantastic. You'll love it. Let me see if I can see any other. Yeah, Tawny did get a piece of Hollow. Yes, she did. Let me see. Okay. I'm just trying to... Oh, yes. Okay. So somebody had asked, if I think Cheryl, is this one Cheryl's? Hold on. Will we get a full story for the short story on the Orange House? That was Curb Appeal. And yes, that's actually part of several stories that are going together. And one of the things, there's Curb Appeal. There is a book called Tuesday, which nobody knows anything about. And the book, a story, I introduced you to them. The male's name was Hugo. At this moment, I cannot remember the woman's name. But he was Hugo, and it's one of the 2015 short stories. And basically, he returns home, and his girlfriend is gone, missing, running, on the run. So basically, it's a trilogy of those really, really amazing stories. And I have actually gotten several questions through email, because, you know, when I send you guys emails out, a lot of times I do get people that write back. Oh, I'm sorry, Anne-Marie. I'm sorry. But they are coming back out. You know, my plan is to have all the stuff that's being republished, to have it out within the next like year. I've just got to space it out a little bit and make sure that I have enough time to also put some of the new things out that I really am anxious to get out there. I'm going to pause for coffee, and then I'm going to also tell you guys that I've been gabbing, just talking nonstop for an hour. You guys have anything else you want to talk about? I did make a schedule. Janet, I probably knocked her over. I probably knocked her over when I sent her an actual release schedule. What was I saying? I was saying something. And I've lost it. Dang it. Oh, so sometimes I get email questions. And of course, one of the primary questions is the Hollow question, which I think I've answered that ad nauseum at this point. Oh, I don't keep it that straight, Sarah. I do not keep it that straight. I really don't. It's all over the place. Yes, Nicole, there will be a 2016 Quickies. I already have quite a substantial amount of stories for it. And there will be more. There's always more. What I may do for the Quickies, the 2016 Quickies, is I may do fewer stories, but a few longer ones. Because I really would like, if I do, I haven't... What are you doing, Max? Leave the cat alone. Sorry. Sorry. So one thing that I may do is finish a couple of the short stories you guys are really interested in, like Scars, stuff like that. And and put those, the longer versions of those, and just do, you know, of course, put, you know, scatter a bunch of shorter stories in there and all the other stories that I've written in 2016. Okay, all right. But basically, wow. Okay. Okay. So, wow, my dog just completely knocked my train of thought right out of my head. Hold on a second. So yes, there will be a 2016 Quickies. I have to do that because really, where else am I going to put all those short stories? I mean, I write short stories all the time. So if I don't put them in a collection, they just sit. And I don't want to have too many on my website, because one thing that I noticed about the website is that I had so many stories on the website that nobody ever felt like they needed to buy anything. When I took all those, I had 54 short stories on the website at one point. And when I took those down and kept it to between, I think I have 15 on there now, and I try to rotate them out. Like I just unpublished 2 or 3, and now I've published like 2 or 3 more. I noticed that I sell a lot more of the short story collections when I'm not just giving them away on my website all the time. And the fact that they rotate out, you know, people are more inclined to actually get the collection, which, you know, at the end of the day, I'd love to actually make a solid living just on my writing. That would be fantastic. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you like the website. I really, 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 really love the new website. We got to tweak a couple little things. There's a couple things that are kind of wonky, and we're redoing the books page, where it'll come up like a big grid that you can just click on whichever book and it'll take you to the page and you can read more about it. Eventually I'll put excerpts and stuff up there like I used to do. I just haven't had a chance to do that since the website went down in March. I had to rebuild everything from scratch, and I've just kind of never gone back. I've never gone back to it. But I'll get around to it. I have 5. I don't... You guys crack me up. Oh, Little Bit Country. Okay. So, A Little Bit Country is being renamed. It's being completely rebranded. Because I had A Little Bit Country out for over 2 years. And I think total, I mean absolute total, I think that I sold like 13 copies of it, maybe 16, something like that. It was out for 2 years. So, the title didn't do well. The cover was horrible. The stories were great, but again, it's my old problem of head hopping and, you know, not really paying attention to the details and stuff like that. So when I re-release it, and I'll tell you guys, sorry, I'm just scanning up to make sure I don't miss anything. When I re-release it, it's going to be bigger. They're always bigger. Every single one of the books that I've re-released is at least 10% brand new content. So it'll be bigger. It'll be renamed to Sweet Tea and Summertime. And I know that y'all think that's ridiculous, but I promise you, Sweet Tea and Summertime, they like go together like 2 peas in a pod. Like you can't do one without the other. You just can't do it. So I'm going to rename it. I'm going to put a really hot cover on it. And I'm going to release it in June or July. Hold on. Let me look at my little release thing here. Oh, come over here. Oh my gosh. Nothing wants to work for me right now. Okay, so yeah, that's July, I think, that one's coming back out. But it'll be worth the wait because it'll be really cleaned up. There'll be a lot more stuff on it. Obsession is... Whoop! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I should not have moved that. Eek. Sorry, guys. Okay, so Obsession is looking like March. And considering there's already 11... Oh, look at you! Jana, you... Dang it, girl. You are too good at this. She's looking at the sheet. She's looking at the sheet. She got it all figured out. And the mug got it so... I don't even know what's happening, y'all. Let me scan up. I must have missed something. Heather, we love you. See you later. Yeah, the shorts do manage to keep me from going completely insane as well. They really do help. They really, really do help. Oh, you hear the country? Okay, I keep it under tight leash. Seriously, like I keep it really, really, I keep it together. Because honestly, when I first moved to Florida, when I was 11 years old, I was teased unmercifully. At that point, I had basically been raised almost my entire childhood in Texas with a couple. The person who raised me, we lived all over the country. So, you know, I was mainly in Texas and southeast Oklahoma. But mainly Texas, all over Texas, from Houston to Dallas to Dangerfield. And a lot of the places, just so y'all know, all the places that I write about within the United States, they're places I'm familiar with. That's why I love to write about them, because I put like my own little stories in places I remember or know, or I've been there myself. So, yeah. Oh, Nick, no, I can't do the Dublin signing. That was actually a couple months ago. So I'm not able to do that one. Sorry, I'm trying to do screen to screen. Yeah, I know. It's hard in Okie land from PA to Oklahoma. Bless their hearts. Yeah, bless your heart. Yeah. So I don't even know where I was going. I'm all over the place. So anyway, I keep my accent like crushed down as much as I can. However, my kids will tell you that if I'm really angry or sleepy or I'm drinking, apparently it comes out. But otherwise, I don't really think I have much of an accent. I learned that lesson very, very harshly when I started 6th grade at Crystal Lake Middle School in Pompano Beach, Florida, and nobody had ever heard an accent like mine. I was tortured. Ugh! Tortured! So you learn to crush that down. You learn to crush it down. You learn not to say y'all. It never went away completely, but I would try to catch myself. Catch it. So sad. Wanted to hear it. No, I didn't get a chance to go. Nick, I am so glad that you're here. This is our resident male. There are a couple of others, but Nick is the one that's like been here from the beginning. So everybody be really nice to him, and he's really good at math. Just putting that out there. I would love to visit Ireland, but I did determine that I would like to visit Ireland and Scotland and England without a book signing, without basically being on another person's schedule. I don't want to be on anybody's schedule. I just want to go. I actually already found the gatehouse of an old castle that I really want to rent. They put it out like a little cottage that you can rent for like a month at a time, and that's my dream, is basically to spend a month or two in Ireland and just write in the gatehouse of an old Irish castle up on the hill. Like, that's some scenery to write to. Am I right? Nick is awesome. Just saying, yes, he is. He is awesome. I don't know, guys. I mean, I've been for an hour and 15 minutes. Did y'all have anything else you wanted me to go over? I don't remember if I'm like a Jack Russell. I'm all over the place. So was there something I forgot? Did I not complete a thought? I do that a lot. Start sentences and never finish. Janet, was there anything I started and didn't finish? I don't know. She pays attention a lot better than I do. Unfortunately, I don't notice what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. I just realized that 11 of you have guessed Hollow's actual identity. Oh, I'm super excited about that. Super, super excited. That is excellent. Do not tell anyone else. don't tell anyone else. Okay, this has got to go up, y'all. I'm sweating my behind off over here. It's like killing me. Don't tell anybody, because I think oh my, okay. We're just going to leave it alone then. Okay, that was scary. That was like a little, oh my, haunted mansion or something. I got all the questions. Will I manage to get to Canada? Actually, I will. Men in kilt stories would be awesome. I would love to go to Canada. I kind of would love to do some drooling over Justin Trudeau. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I would love to go to Canada. I've always wanted to go to Canada. Never been. I've never been really anywhere outside of the U.S. So I don't know if I would be there for a signing, but I would do like my own kind of little author meet and greet if I could figure out like a central location where a bunch of people are, just kind of like a place where it would be easy for everybody. Really, I think that, oh, Maria, I did a signing last year in Ohio, in Columbus. Was that Ohio? Yeah, that was Ohio. I'm sorry, I did a lot, like right together. I used to do signings a lot. I did about 7, 8 a year. Unfortunately, they are expensive. And I wasn't noticing like a jump. It was basically an investment, to try and like, you know, get my name out there, but I didn't really see that happening. I think at some signings, I love signings. I really do. I love being able to see, you know, take the print books, talk to the readers, but it is expensive. And for people like me that I have the other job too, it's hard for me to basically take all that time, go to a signing, and it not show like a significant change to my bottom line. And one thing that I noticed is that a lot of signings, you know, have 35, 45, 50, you know, authors. And when people come in, it's kind of like a bottleneck effect. So by the time they kind of get around to you, you know, first of all, they've probably spent all their money like at the big authors, that's the draw. You know, you get big authors and it draws more people there, and it makes sense from an author standpoint. From an indie author who's really small, like I don't have a very big following, you know, but you know, for somebody like me, nobody's really, I mean, yeah, there were a couple people, of course, at every signing, there's a couple people that are like, oh my God, I love the Barter System, or I loved Yes to Everything, or I loved this, or I've been waiting to meet you. But in comparison to, you know, the cost and how in the time and everything like that, it was really only a couple of people here and there. And most people didn't know who I was, which of course, I mean, why would they? You know, I'm just me. So, I think that if I do any kind of author events in the future, it would sort of be like my own thing, where I would just, you know, basically, like say I was in Chicago, right? Say I was driving to Chicago, because there is a lot of traveling that I want to do, and that's like another thing that I want to talk to you guys after the first of the year, because I have some ideas, but you know, we'll talk about that the next event. But, you know, if I was in Chicago and I found out that 10 of my readers lived within, you know, a realistic driving distance of Chicago, you know, I would do like a small little meet and greet type thing, and we would all just, you know, put in whatever to book a little room or something like that, just something small. You know, it wouldn't have to be anything fancy. I mean, honestly, I'd even be willing to do it in somebody's house if somebody wanted to do that. But it would have to be something that kind of is already like happening, because the signings, it's difficult, because you're talking about buying your own print books, which does get outrageous. The travel, you know, lodging, food, It can get really pricey. In less than 2 months, I spent like $3,600 on signings, and I just I just don't have. And if that had translated into a 5%, even a 2% bump in readership or something like that, then I could justify it. But to outlay that kind of money for basically an extra 4 books sold, it's not something I can do all the time. Oh, I would do like a Skype thing. Actually, the admins and I have talked about, I forget what it's called. It's something with Google, like a Google Meet or something. I would do something like that. I absolutely would. So, I have no problem. That this is really my way of doing like a quick signing. I would love for you guys to be able to interact and stuff. I don't know how we do that. I really don't. Somebody other than me is going to have to figure that out. But I would have no problem doing something like that because unfortunately, I'm not going to be at every signing anymore. I did 8 1 year, 7 another year, and 3 at the end of 1 year. So basically I did like 18 in 2.5 years, and I spent a fortune. And I just don't want to, I don't want to do that because I'd rather invest in, my house and making sure stuff is paid and stuff like that. So, oh, Google Hangout. Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, Yvonne, I would never descend on your house. Are you kidding me? Let me see. Okay. So, I think, let me see here. Oh, I want to let you guys know, I am working on a Barter System Hollow World Companion. It'll probably be just the Barter System initially, and then I'll have to do a separate one for Hollow because there's going to be a shit ton of characters in Hollow as well, new characters, so it's not going to make any sense to try to put them all in one book. That's just not going to work. But I am working on a TBS Companion, just trying to kind of, oh wow, okay guys, just trying to kind of get everything together so that anybody who's new to the stories or new to my books or whatever can kind of get like a little sneak peek, Jana wanted me to mention that the next live event is the 3rd Sunday in January, which is January 22nd, and we'll do it about the same time if you guys want to plan ahead. Thank God can't keep all those people straight. I know, neither can I. Oh, thank you guys. I look like crazy, but well, I'm going to wrap up because I did not mean to talk y'all's ear off for 1 hour and 22 minutes. That is ridiculous. Wow. I'm so sorry. If you have any other questions, if you have any thing that you want to ask me, anything like that, Jana is really good at getting messages to me. I'm horrible about checking my own messages. I don't. I wish, but I don't. If y'all think of anything, just, reach out to me, to any of the admins. And I would absolutely, I'm an open book. I'm, happy to tell y'all anything. It didn't seem that long. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. I love this. It's going to take me a little while to get really comfortable with it, but, that's the 4th Sunday in January. The 22nd is the 4th Sunday? Is it? Oh. Jana, should we do it the 15th? I don't know. I don't know. All right, so don't, you know what, Nick? See? You're paying attention. You're paying attention. All right, so let me figure that out, and then I'll get you that specifically once I know for sure. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about or whatever, that would be fantastic. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Aw, love you guys. I will talk to you later.